Welcome back to the REINVESTORS virtual road trip. We made it to Edmonton today, and we're going across the country from coast to coast, interviewing real estate investors and experts from each province and showcasing the towns they invest in so that you, wherever you are watching from, can get more knowledge of investing in other successful markets.
Yeah, our guests today have an incredible success story. We're at a young age with very little experience and none of their own money. We're able to purchase over 100 residential properties in a 3-year period using joint venture strategies. Yes, 100 properties. It didn't come easy, but with tremendous drive and desire, the self-development education they got, and their ability to follow mentors' advice, they were able to quickly look past their fears and create an incredible portfolio. They now run a very successful brand called Investor Life and a very active Facebook group called Fearless Real Estate Investors, where they help investors of all different skill levels learn the ins and outs of doing joint venture partnerships and creative deals. They speak all across Canada, sharing their story, and in fact, after seeing them speak 4 years ago, were the very reason Steve and I believed that we could do joint venture partnerships and started building our own portfolio. So we want to thank both of you for taking the time out to come in and teach us about the Alberta market, and we're excited to welcome Corey and Tiffany Young to the road trip.
Hey guys, thanks for including us. Thanks for stopping by windy Edmonton.
Awesome. Well, you guys have such an incredible story, and I'm sure you could probably talk for 30 minutes just on some of the stories that you've been able to do throughout your career, but give us a cliff notes on where you guys started from and where you're at now and how you got there.
Awesome. So we started back in 2003 learning about real estate, educating ourselves, going to seminars, reading books. Yeah, when we start saying 2003, going back that far.
Especially when you look at these faces, I'm like, oh man, yeah. I wonder how old you were.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we just got interested in real estate. We kind of did the research and figured it's the vehicle we wanted to use to change, the trajectory of our careers, our lives, that sort of thing. And yeah, you mentioned it already, but we did it through joint venture partnerships. And the cool part about all of that is all the properties that we bought, we managed to buy them with less than $27,000 of our own money. And so the cool part about that was not only did that change our lives, but it also gave us the opportunity to change the lives of a lot of other people, and in particular, the people that partnered with us.
Yeah, that's amazing, guys. Such a rad story, and I'm sure most people watching this right now already know who you are, but we love all the content you guys put out there. You guys have great training pieces as well for JVs, and I just want to dig into like the Alberta market for a minute and just talk about like some of the demographics, some of the things that are driving the economy still. What your average like home prices are, some cap rates, that kind of stuff, and kind of take it from an approach of like, if we are going to be a joint venture partner, what's going to be, your sales pitch to us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Awesome question.
Do you want to start? You could talk a lot about the rental market and how whether that's strong and that sort of thing. Why don't you start with that?
So I'll preface it by saying, so most of our properties are in this market and have been for the last 17 years. So, in Alberta, we are very used to the ups and downs of a very quick cycling market. So where we cycle it, usually it's about every 2 to 3 years, really. And other markets will go 5 to 7 and even 10 years before you see that full real estate cycle. So, there's lots of ups and downs in Alberta. And so the first and foremost kind of thing about our market is, if you need to be in and out within a specified point of time, like let's say that you're going to need your money back in 3 years or in even 5 years, Alberta's market is a little bit tough for you because to time it, we're commodity based, and we have great huge upswings, but we also have good falls. And so unless you're holding long term, it's a little bit, it's probably not the best market for you. However, we have cash flow. We have low housing prices. We've got a really nice, we have the highest incomes in the country, even through all of this, craziness in oil over the last couple of years. And so we get a really nice tenant demographic that can pay their bills and can pay high rents. And, it's a nice market in that way, just not if you know that you're going to need your money out in 4 years and come hell or high water, because you might find yourself in a little bit of hell there. So yeah, that would be my first kind of thought on the market itself.
There are a few other advantages too. So, you know, in Alberta, we don't have provincial sales tax. That makes a difference. We don't have land transfer tax. So when you're buying and selling, that makes a difference. And also the landlord tenant regulations are very landlord friendly here in Alberta compared to other parts of the country. So yeah, it makes it a lot easier owning property. And a lot of people are owners in Alberta, in our Edmonton market, but live somewhere else in the country. And because it's so landlord friendly, it makes it easy to be able to do that. So there's definitely advantages, like Tiff said, there's disadvantages as well. So it depends on what somebody's looking for.
Yeah, that's got to be like one of the biggest things that we hear all the time is just that here in BC, it's so challenging a lot of times to add some creative value because of the Tenancy Act. So it's like, oftentimes Brandon and I have looked at each other and been like, dude, throw in the hat. We're moving across the border to Alberta just for that reason alone. But
I'm often in awe of the investors in BC and even in Ontario that, you know, how they, the hoops that they have to jump through and the frustration that adds and therefore emotion and havoc on your life that it adds to have that. So, and I'll just be really clear, Alberta they're very fair. So I don't get everything that I want as a landlord when I go to a tribunal, or, you know, we call it differently in Alberta, but, you know, I don't get everything that I want. But as long as I have followed the rules and stuck to the RTA in what I'm doing, I generally will get a fair ruling. But I will say, if you don't stick to the rules and you play it your own way, you're immediately out. They're like, sorry, you didn't stick to the RTA, neither are we. We're ruling in their favor. So it's just very fair, I find.
One other thing too, I'll just bring up is, and Tiff mentioned it briefly, but the cash flow is probably one of the big features, in particular the Edmonton area. You know, we find Edmonton's a little bit less expensive than Calgary on average, but we get very similar rents. And so because of that, the cash flow is significantly higher. And in particular, some of the towns surrounding Edmonton, some of the smaller towns, again, the prices are a little bit lower, but yet the rent is still there. So the cash flow is even higher. So a lot of investors we see are coming to this market because you can buy a $500,000 property that's brand spanking new with a secondary suite that's legal and be cash flowing $1,000 a month kind of idea. So really strong cash flows and really high quality properties that attract high quality tenants. So is there benefits? Absolutely. You know, are you expecting that property to skyrocket like maybe some of the other markets as far as value is concerned? Maybe not. It's going to go a little bit slower, but there's definitely some benefits on that side of things. And so when it comes to joint venturing, that's an easy joint venture sell. You know, if somebody's looking for a money partner, when you can show them a product that cash flows really, really strongly, that provides a lot of security for money partners. So they really do like that side of things.
What kind of vacancy rates are you guys seeing right now? I know a lot of people are a little worried about that some of their properties might sit vacant in that area with such turnover, different things. Is that something you guys have seen much in your area?
You know, to tell the truth, because I don't educate on our market anymore, I don't keep track of the like actual stats on it. All I can speak to is what our portfolio is doing. We have had some vacancies come up during the spring and during COVID, and you know, over the last 17 years through the ups and downs of oil and everything else. So what I can say is that right now I'm finding we are definitely getting a higher level of tenant. I think those that are a little bit more financially stable are the only ones that can afford to take that risk of moving right now. And so we're getting lots of really good interest from really good people. We haven't had a vacancy in 2 years in our portfolio. And I'll tell the truth, and that's since I decided that I didn't want vacancies. Because quite honestly, I would sometimes be like, you know what, I'm busy this month. I'm going to leave it vacant for a month and I'll catch up with it next month or whatever. But when I decided that I no longer wanted to do that, I wanted to focus on and get really good at it and then, you know, do some YouTube stuff for it and use it as training. Then that, you know, if you focus on it, the market is there for it. The tenants have good incomes. We're big on credit. They've got good credit. So if you're really good with your systems or your team, I don't think you have to worry about vacancy. I've seen that in my own portfolio. However, if you're not very hands-on with either your property management company or, you know, don't have a good team, you know, you might want to be cautious. And I just want to say this, that you guys, you know, we met you a few years ago. You're like younger than you obviously are now even, and you're just these little whippersnappers that went out there and just did it all. And I love that you're taking now this tour across Canada, because like, you know, you're introducing people to the market, but from a boots on the ground perspective. So we know it from our own portfolios, and the people you're talking to are actually living and working in that market every single day. So I think it's a great perspective, and I'm not, you know, trying to bring out all the negatives, but I really do want to do what you said your goal is, and that's to just really inform investors on the different markets. So I'm bringing a little bit of the, you know, caution. If you don't have a good team here, maybe not a good thing. You know, a little bit tough vacancy wise, but we have not seen an issue in vacancy, you know, since I decided to really focus on it. So what you focus on grows. And I think that that's probably a good analogy for everyone looking at the Edmonton market.
Yeah, that's incredible, guys. And just having that decision to basically, you know, hell or high water, you make sure that, you know, there's no vacancy in it. I'm curious with like what your portfolio looks like. Is it mainly single family homes, or is there some multifamily in there as well? And then maybe if you could just talk on the multifamily a little bit, if you know some, what that's doing in the Edmonton market right now.
We've always found in the Edmonton market, it's a little different than other cities and other markets across the country. We, in our own portfolio, focused almost solely on single family homes or single family homes with suites, or even townhouse condos. And that's been the focus for our own portfolio. And so we found that that works really, really well cash flow wise, as we were talking about earlier. The multifamily is becoming a bit more of a trend here. However, in the past and in our investing and buying days back in the, you know, late to 2008 to 2005, 2010, in there when we were really, really active in buying multifamily, there were not very many good options. And the options that there were in areas of town where we didn't want to deal with the tenant profile. And or they were older buildings that needed a lot of renovation, and to be honest with you, that was not my expertise. So you know, we focused on single family stuff. We focused on the townhouse condo type of thing, and it's actually a really, really good market. And the reason for that is it's an easy in for people. Like, for example, we were talking last night in one of our shows about a condo that's fully renovated right now, and it's selling for $169,000. And I mean, that's just such a low price point compared to other parts of the country where people can buy an investment property and be in it for $30,000 or $35,000 down, and it cash flows and it's fully renovated. So, you know, that's kind of the niche where we've stuck. It's worked really well for us. And the thing that we found is if we found something that worked, we just duplicated it instead of trying to find something else. We just duplicated what worked. And
let me help set the stage a little bit for why multifamily in Edmonton is not. Back in the 70s when Edmonton really boomed, city planners, we went sprawl. We're prairies. There's no mountains. There's no ocean around us. I mean, we can sprawl for 3 provinces over. So we didn't have to worry about that in Edmonton, and therefore they didn't permit a lot of fourplexes and suited houses and all that kind of stuff. That has now come around just in the last, like, really year and a half in Edmonton. So now you're starting to see those options. However, anyone that's been in long term, it just wasn't how our city works. So lots of people say to us, what do you mean there's no multifamily there? What do you mean? What? But that's why, is because our city absolutely sprawled out, and that's how the city planners planned it. Now, though, they're looking to densify that because we have a lot of people living in a wide space, and without adding extra services, they're wanting for more people to be living within it so they don't have to upgrade sewer and all that kind of stuff in different areas. So that's kind of a little bit of the history behind our rental market and our investment market, really.
Yeah, let's... Oh,
appreciate that. I just have one other question on that. Like, I know that Edmonton's just been doing a lot of infrastructure improvements. They got, like, I don't know, Ring Road, or basically whatever it's called. Is that being something that really is bringing additional appreciation to some markets, or?
Absolutely. So we've pretty much centered all of our buying around that ring road. Now, when we were buying, that ring road was not complete. It is now complete.
It wasn't even started when we first started looking into it.
It was quite a process, but we kind of followed it and bought very close to where the on-ramps were going to be for that ring road. And that was a educated decision to do that based on, you know, the mentoring and information that we had received. And yes, those areas become closer to the rest of the city. So absolutely, they saw a bit more of an appreciation than if we had bought in other areas. And but now, aside from just in Edmonton, like I mentioned earlier, some of the smaller towns around the city also benefit from that ring road because now they're closer to everything. And Edmonton is not a big city, so you know, you can drive around the entire ring road in about 45 minutes. You know, maybe not at, you know, peak rush hour time, but it, you know, it does not take a long time to go around the entire city. So
yeah, it's one of my favorite things that you guys said earlier was just like, you guys have just stuck to what you know and built out that single family portfolio. You hear so many people that say, oh, I've done, you know, 5 single families, now I got to go into the multifamily or you move into development. And there's so much pressure on that. And especially in areas where it just doesn't exist, they try and force the deals and end up making bad decisions where if you know what works, just keep rolling with that. And that's something Steve and I have pivoted and adjusted along the way. You know, we started single family, got into a little bit of multi, got a little taste of it and said, oh, we're going to go do this. But then we're like, man, we didn't do a deal for a year because we were just stuck in, you know, trying to find that multifamily that works and forcing things, and then having to, you know, kind of sit back and say, well, let's just go back to what worked. And so then we started buying more single family again. And it's just flows in the portfolio and works nice. So I just wanted to bring some emphasis to that. So many people think they have to get into these big multifamilies, but doing what you know works is great. One of the reasons that we got into doing this road trip was we had so many people coming up to us and asking us, what do you guys think about the Alberta market? It's on sale right now. There's got to be some strategies that work. All these people are talking about, you know, there's going to be a ton of foreclosures and everything going on there. So there's a bunch of that kind of discussion. What strategies are working there? What do you guys like? A lot of people have been talking about agreement for sales there and buying stuff on discount. What strategies are working and what are you seeing there as boots on the ground?
Okay, so very exciting. I've been working on getting Barry and Donna McGuire to do an AFS day with us.
Oh, cool.
We've been working on it for weeks. We finally have a date. It's June 27th. So and the reason is, so we were supposed to do like a joint venture thing because that's our thing, and you know, a shared date and whatever. But here's the deal: right now, already we're seeing what we've seen in this market a number of times. There are people that can't pay a realtor. Their house is worth less than what they paid for it. They you know, need out for whatever reason, whether it's foreclosure or, you know, they're moving back to where they came from, because in Alberta we have a lot of people from the rest of the country, and when there's no work, they're like, we want to be back with their families. So lots of reasons. Divorces, crazy, but there's so many divorces right now, and all of those things are pointing to agreements for sale. So that is really something that every market, I think, is going to see an opportunity for that, but most certainly in Alberta we are, you know, gearing for a lot of, like you said, foreclosures and a lot of really motivated sellers that are either in a position that they need to deal with an investor that can help them, or they're going to ruin their credit and lose every penny that they've got to this point. So are we sharks? No, we're actually going to help them. However, it's going to take some creativity. And so, yeah, absolutely. Randy, your agreements for sale is like, I'm all over it right now. I'm like, this is what we need to be educating ourselves and learning about right now. It's what the market's going to scream for in the next few months.
That's what I love about you guys. You're always one step ahead, learning it and then teaching it to your community. So even if you guys haven't done a ton of them, you're going out and learning it and bringing the right people in and then teaching it to your community. I think it's one of the best things about being a part of your community. Steve and I are active in it, always learning from you guys, because we don't do agreement for sales. It's nothing we've done, but we can come in and learn from you guys because you're out there actively trying to learn it and do it and sourcing out the right people. So just a shout out to you guys. Yeah. Yeah.
There's always bugs.
Totally. And I mean, part of it is the agreement for sales. Everyone says, oh yeah, it's super easy. You just do this. But there's so much mechanics that go into it. And like you said, you can be a good person about it, or you can be a shark about it. And there's a big difference on how you go about building your brand and your business and your, you know, the karma that comes with it of actually working with the people to support them versus going in and trying to rob them. So I think that you guys are going to showcase that well. So I'm excited to learn from you guys as well along that way.
I'm excited. I'm really, really excited for it. I think it's yeah, an awesome opportunity for investors, but it also has that social component of actually being able to help. And we've been through that before where, I had a mom, she had 5 kids, she was a single mom, and she phoned me and she's like, I need out of this place. I had some advertising out for buy houses and stuff. And, I was like, she only had like 8 days before foreclosure, her 9 months was up and all this stuff. And I was like, it's beyond me. I'm not able to help. Well, I passed her on to a more experienced investor in that realm. He helped her out. She got to stay in that house for 5 more years. She did eventually end up leaving it, but for 5 years, and she's actually in a small town that we live nearby, and I'd see her at the grocery store every time. She was like, she wanted to buy me chocolate bars one time. She's like, choose a chocolate bar, just choose one. She's like, I have to do something for you. You have no idea how you changed my life and helped me or whatever. And it's experiences like that that help you to see that this isn't just an opportunity for us as investors, like, houses and money. This is an actual opportunity to have a social component and actually enjoy and believe in what you do. So yeah, great stuff. It's fun stuff.
And a big part of that is just creating those win-wins, right? And it's not a win for the lady there, but the investor person probably got a deal out of it and was able to facilitate that. And and Randy said it too, it's like there's a good karma piece of that too that definitely comes back to everybody. And I know it's just staying whole as a community and passing on those opportunities to people is super important, regardless of what market you're in.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure. Yeah.
Speaking of win-wins, you guys said that you're all about the JVs, which you are. You guys encouraged us and inspired us to jump into that space as well. Real simply, before we get into some like the nitty-gritty details of it, what is a joint venture partnership?
Very simply, it is 2 partners, 2 different people, 2 sets of people that are going in to purchase a property, and they bring different assets. So usually, and in most cases, one person brings the money, so everything to do with the money. The other person brings the work or the time involved, and they partner together. So when we say money, usually that includes the down payment and all those costs and the mortgage, everything to do with the money. And the other side of that is the work is finding the property, managing the property, selling the property in the end, maybe doing renovations on the property. So all the work that's involved. And so when those 2 people get together, there's lots of people out there that want to invest in real estate but don't have the time. And there's lots of people out there that want to invest in real estate but don't have the money. And so when those 2 join together, that's what we call a JV or a joint venture.
You're just shaking the camera every time you gesture. Oh, okay. My knee. Okay. Sorry.
Good. So yeah, great breakdown. And so typically what happens is you have that working partner and the money partner kind of thing. And typically from what we've seen and done is you get a 50-50 share out of it. But something I'm curious about is like, what would be your advice to people who are in a position, regardless of what side, that are on the other side asking for 70-80% of the deal?
So like a money partner wanting more of the deal?
Yeah, or the other way around, like a working partner wanting all of the deal kind of thing. Either way.
So joint venture, as you guys know, because you guys have done them too, and it's given you a great start too, and you treat your partners well. We've heard from lots of them too. So, you always want to make a win-win situation. So, what is it that you're needing out of it? What is it that they're needing out of it? And we use 50% as a baseline, as a start. However, there's different things that, maybe they're bringing something extra to the table, or, as starting out, maybe it's just an opportunity for you to build your credibility by getting some property management experience, by, filling out the joint venture agreement and figuring out what, liens are and caveats and, all that kind of stuff. Maybe you just need that experience so that you can go out and spread that credibility that you now have. And is that worth, less percentage for you as a working partner? It may not be. It may be that you don't need it, but it may be that, you want to give up more. Now, 80% to me is quite high. There's a lot of work involved in being a working partner. Would I go 80%? No, I probably wouldn't. That's a little bit high. But would I look at, 65%, even maybe 70%, if that bought me the experience and it was like a paid education or education for free? Absolutely, I would be willing to.
I'll give you
negotiate.
An example with that. When we first started out, I think we owned about 4 or 5 properties at the time, and a joint venture partner came to us and said, listen, I want to buy at least 15 properties. I've got this much money to invest. Can we do something on the percentage? So we did, and we agreed to it, and we went, we gave him 66% and we took 34%, but he jumped us from 5 properties to 20 properties within a few months. And that added so much credibility to us that then we could go out and tell other partners, well, we now have 20 properties or 25 properties. And it gave us that credibility that at some point we could say, no problem, that, you know, we're firm on the 50-50 split. But can you play with that number? Can it go either way? Absolutely. It's negotiable depending on what each partner brings to the table.
There's so much to unpack there. It's so cool. That's, again, Steve and I, once you get those first few properties, it really sets you up and it really builds that credibility. And Steve and I, in the beginning, you know, we had a property where we were getting tight on timelines, and some guy came back and said, hey, I can do this. It's tight for me to put everything together. I'll do it for a higher percentage of ownership. And Steve and I are like, dude, we don't care. The deal's so good that we're happy to take, you know, whatever it was, 60-40 on it. We're happy to take the 40% because we've done our diligence. We know it's such a great property and we believe in it so much. Why wouldn't we take 40%? And we shared, I think, on basically every one of our episodes now, of just like having 100% of something, or sorry, having a percentage of something is better than having 100% of nothing. And that's kind of where it goes. Once you start building that credibility and growing, it just gets a lot easier and easier to build that experience. Now, one of the questions we get asked a lot that I thought I asked you guys is, do you just take in any money partner, or do you turn money partners away?
Very good question.
Well, and you guys are experienced enough now that you know the answer to this one.
But yeah,
learned the hard way, I'm sure.
Absolutely turn money partners away. It has to be a fit. And these are people that you're going to be working with for a long period of time in most cases. You know, as Tiff mentioned earlier, our market is a long-term buy and hold market. And so because of that, and that was our strategy. So we've had partners, well, we still have joint venture partners that we've had for 17 years. And we're in touch with them on a regular basis. And so do we want to work with people or be in touch with people that we don't jive with, or we're not on the same page with? Absolutely not. And so have we turned certain people away because of ethics or the types of property they wanted to buy that didn't fit for us, or areas they wanted to buy in that didn't fit for us? Absolutely. So it has to be a fit for both parties.
100% agree. I was going to ask you guys, you know, like, what does someone with no experience go about looking for a joint venture partnership? But you guys do so much of that training inside your Facebook group that if people are interested, I recommend just hopping into their Facebook group and checking it out, because it's regularly training that you do in there. So if you are new to this and are looking for the experience on how to go get joint venture partners, just hop into your guys' Facebook group, the Fearless Real Estate Investors, because there's just so much information in there about that. So just want to let people know if that's where they want to go.
Awesome.
In that space too, I'm curious, like, you know, if you're just starting off, there's 2 types of people usually. There's extroverted people and introverted people. Extroverts don't have any issue starting off and getting things going and networking with people, but introverts find it a lot more challenging. What would be your advice to people who are on the introverted side of things that want to create these deals and want to be those working partners?
Great question. Maybe I'll answer that one, because I'm more of an introvert compared to Tiffany. Tiffany's the extrovert, definitely. And especially when we first started, she would be the one that, you know, we would go to a real estate event and she would go up and just be meeting people and shaking hands. And I'd be sitting at the back with my coffee, you know, or on my phone. I didn't really want to go up and meet people. I mean, that's changed over the years, absolutely. But you know, you can feel uncomfortable doing this, and you can feel like, oh, I don't have the guts to approach people. So one of the things that we did, just a practical piece of advice, I think, is that for me, what worked for me is I had people come to me instead. So instead of me going up and meeting people, I had them come to me. And so we did little things like we made tent cart signs that sat in front of us where we were sitting at an event that said, invest in Alberta. We wore shirts with invest in Edmonton on the back of them. And I would sit at the front of the room,
even though it was
not really talk to anybody, but sit at the front of the room, and people would write down our email address or our phone number that was on the back of our shirt, and they would give us a phone call. And one of our biggest JV partners came from that, actually. So I would do certain things like that brought people to me. They would start the conversation, and in that way, I wouldn't have to do it myself.
That's freaking brilliant. I've seen that a couple times at like Keysbar events, and it definitely catches your eye because they're not usually used to seeing stuff on the back of shirts. And wicked awesome strategy to stay within like your comfort zone, but then still have people, coming to you versus being on the retail side of things or being on the retail side of things. But, flipping the script a little bit over to the other side of the equation on the money partner side, what's like one of the biggest pieces of like due diligence that you would recommend for the money partner to do on a working partner?
That's a great question. So quite frankly, that he who holds the golds, no, wait, what's
yeah, you got it. He who holds the gold makes the rules.
Makes the rules. Yeah. Okay. So quite honestly, as a money partner, in our Ignited program, people often ask, like, they're asking for this. Do I share that? Heck yeah. You're transparent. So as a money partner, you have the right to ask for whatever it is that makes you comfortable. I often ask for things like, credit. I don't expect their credit to be perfect, but I do want it to be, above average and stand well. I might want to know what they've done for experience. Experience may not matter to me. On the other hand, like, I've got my eye on this one person that, I think I'm going to pursue them and invest with them just because I see that drive and that fire in their eyes, and I know that they can do it. I know that no matter what it is that comes up against them, they can do it. So it might be, that I want to know, show me a couple of things that you've done already. It doesn't have to be in real estate, but that you've overcome adversity, and that gives me the confidence that you're going to, hustle. I just want to see you hustle. I don't care who you are. I don't care the experience. I don't care how much money you have in your bank account. Make it happen. Are you that person? Yes or no? So for me, it's, we always say as money partners, ask whatever question makes you feel comfortable. Don't be shy about it. If they don't want to give it to you, that's okay. Maybe you're not a fit. But feel free to ask whatever that might be. But I know myself as a money partner, I'm looking for people that are willing to work hard and have that fire in their eyes. And, more than anything, that's what I look for.
And I'll just add to that. I think any money partner will tell you that when they are investing in somebody, or investing in a project or a property, they're investing in the person. And when a joint venture partnership is created, it's because they feel confident in that person. And like Tiff said, they're going to get done what needs to get done. And so it's not as much about the numbers and the property as it is about the confidence in whether that person's going to come through for me or not. And I think that's something that all money partners look for in a working partner.
We're so lucky. Steve and I are at the beginning of our career found a few people to bet on us, and they said it clear up front, hey, we're just betting on the two of you, and we know things are going to happen. So you're absolutely spot on there. I think it's so cool that people can, a lot of the stuff you gave, or a lot of the qualities are what people are looking for. And I was just preaching in our community the other day that you're not even selling your ROI. Don't even sell the return, just sell yourself. Because, I would rather invest with someone that's got a, good personality and follows what they say, but is offering maybe a smaller % return ROI than someone who's just fly by night and, kind of skewing some numbers, might not be honest, but has a higher return. And I was just sharing that in the industry, it's hard to pick and choose which one you want to go with. Obviously you want the high returns, but you also want the more trustworthy person. So we teach a lot of people, just sell yourself and let the property sell itself after. So love what you guys are saying there.
Well, and I remember you guys too, that you were just like buzzing around, like maybe you were extroverted. I don't know. But you were both just like buzzing around. You were making it happen. It was like there was an energy that followed you. And that was from the very beginning when you were just starting out. But that, and you don't have to have that energy. Like you can have people following you. Actually, I'll just touch on what introverts and whatever, put together a killer package, a credibility package. We talk about that a lot. It can be PowerPoint, it can be on paper, it can be something you email, it can be a website. There's a whole lot more ways that you can build your credibility than just through physically meeting people. And you have to tweak it to be you, but you can absolutely build credibility by, doing what you're good at. If that's numbers and spreadsheets and everything else, that's okay too.
Cool. One last quick question before we jump into our rapid fire section here. You guys talk so much on mindset and, obviously becoming fearless is something that you guys are very passionate about, but what kind of mindset did it take to do 100 properties in 3 years? Like, it's hard to even fathom that, oh my God, that's like a nightmare. It's a headache. It's, it's a lot to handle, blah, blah. What kind of mindset did you guys have to create along the journey to be able to handle that together and individually?
I think the way that I would answer that is early on, we defined our why. Early on, we defined the reason we were doing this, and we defined it very, very
motivating.
like we made it very, very clear in both of our minds that this is the reason, this is our end goal, this is what we're doing all of this for. Because believe me, yes, and you said it, there's ups, but there's also big downs in real estate investment. And if anyone who's a real estate investor knows that it's not all rainbows and unicorns, you're gonna have down times, and that's where a lot of people quit. That's where a lot of people get out. And when we were going through our period of really buying like crazy, we were managing those properties like crazy, dealing with tenants like crazy. There was lots of points where we could have said, forget it. This is too much work, or this is not worth it. You know, we're not seeing the results yet. But because we defined our end goal, because we defined why we were doing it, that belief was strong enough to hold us through the periods where it was a down period. And anyone will tell you in real estate, if you can last long enough, that's when the wealth will be created. It takes time. This is not a get rich quick scheme. It takes time for that to accumulate, for your mortgage to go down, for the values to go up. So defining your why was incredibly important for us.
And I have nothing more to add to that, because that's what it's all about.
I just, Randy was saying like fearless is a part of the mindset and everything. And I'm just curious if there's still something out there, real estate related or not, that still scares you guys.
I'm a scaredy cat. I'm afraid of everything. I am. I wish that I had, like, I wish that I could dream big and think big and open, like, but I just can't. It's like, I'm afraid of failure in every single aspect of my life. I don't want to try something because if I can't get it, and I know I don't know that I can get it 100%. I don't want to try because I don't want to find out that I couldn't do it. Like, I'm a fraidy cat for everything, but education, coaching, you know, and setting goals, it really does help me. So despite my fears, and I am literally afraid of everything. I was driving yesterday with a bunch of plants in the back of my vehicle because we're staging this property for sale. And as I'm driving, I'm going, there's no spiders. There's no spiders. Don't be stupid. There's no spiders. Like, don't be dumb. Just keep driving. But the whole time I'm just like, why am I doing this? Like, so I'm afraid of everything, literally everything. But it does help to just set those parameters that are non-emotional, that are, here's my goal, here's my plan, and then have a motivation, a way that you keep that motivation or coaching up or whatever that is. And then the fears don't really matter as much because you have that support system that's, you know, overtaking those fears.
And I think everybody is going to have fears. Like, if somebody says that they are completely fearless, like, we talk about having less fear. But, you know, fear can be a good thing too. You know, fear can keep you from doing something stupid. So, you know, I think that it's okay to be fearful. Like, for example, I talk to friends of mine that are out there building duplexes and building houses and, you know, all of that sort of thing. That's a different side of the business. I've never done that before. And to me, that is taking a big risk. But to somebody else, buying 100 properties is taking a big risk. And so, you know, there's different areas in real estate that, you know, we've probably stayed away from because we have a little bit of fear towards it. Absolutely. But I think that that's an okay thing to have a little bit of fear because it'll help you to make the right decisions.
Awesome info. That's so great. Jumping into our last section here, just some rapid fire questions for you guys. So each you can answer, and we'll start with, what's one thing every visitor needs to see or do in your town?
Oh man.
Go to an Edmonton Oilers hockey game in the playoffs.
Jesus.
That might not happen this year, but yeah, that's one thing.
I'm going to say the River Valley. Like, if we're not talking investment stuff, or like the River Valley, I think it's the largest in North America that connects all the way. Like, I don't know. Anyways, we do have a beautiful River Valley, but you have to get right down into it to really appreciate it.
Interesting. I haven't heard that before. It's just like a really scenic type of the town.
It's really long. Like, we can ride from where we live, which is a half hour from Edmonton. We can ride from here to another half an hour past Edmonton on the other side, all on River Valley trails.
It's apparently, if it's not the largest, it's the second largest
In like North America or
park
something.
district in North America within a city.
Whoa.
So yeah, there's a lot of park area here.
Oh, cool. Learn something new every day.
There you
And
go.
Corey, wouldn't it be awesome if it was Edmonton and Vancouver in the Western Finals?
Yes, that would be amazing. We would for sure win, so that would be great.
Guys, what's a local business that you want to give a shout out to?
Ooh. You know what? I think in the context of what you guys are doing today, which, by the way, I want to put in one more point about Edmonton's market. So your mandate for today was to educate your community on different markets across Canada, both the good and the bad for investment. One really big plus in Edmonton is we do have, you talked about the infrastructure of the ring road. You know, that's completed now, but we do have a big transit thing happening where there's big changes in LRT, which we've never had in this city before. So that's really opening up a lot more opportunity for investors. So I wanted to make sure to get that in there for your community. And what was the question? Oh, a local business. You know, Alberta on Fire is always going to be close to our hearts because we started with them, but they're a team of local realtors that are, you know, they're in the market themselves. They're investors, and they're dealing with nothing but investors day in and day out. So I think that they're a great resource for investors that are looking to get into the market. That'd be mine. You?
Yeah, I'm racking my brain to think of a local business that I'd make a shout out to, but I'm stumped. I think Tiff covered it though.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. If you guys could have a fireside chat with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oprah Winfrey.
Were you, Corey?
Wow. I would have to, the first name that comes to mind is Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky would be right up there too. Yeah.
So cool.
I want to know your guys' answers. Does he have time for that or no?
Sure. I'm going to go sports related as well. I've just been recently watching the Michael Jordan series, and just to get his mindset of how when somebody challenges him, he comes back and just does 100% more. I know Tiger has a similar attitude. That attitude is just insane to me, and I'd love to just learn how to be able to turn that on and off.
Yeah.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. I got to watch that series. I've heard a lot about it.
Oh, I never heard about it.
Steve, what about you?
Tough question. I think I'd probably lean into like Winston Churchill.
Okay.
Toss between him and Zig Ziglar.
Okay.
Ooh,
Awesome.
yeah.
Have you watched
Winston
the series?
Churchill, holy.
Have you watched The Crown?
I haven't seen the whole thing, but yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Or how about Churchill's anyways, we're just chatting now. I should let you go. Churchill's
Yeah, this is supposed to be
something
rapid
about
fire.
the 40s or 50s, like being in the war and his brilliant plan around. Anyways.
So many hard decisions he had to. I'm just curious on the process he had to go through to lead a country through all those rough choices. But what's a favorite real estate related book or resource of yours?
Real estate related, Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's my standard. I read it when I was 18. It's changed my life and so many others' life, but it's because it makes you think differently. And you may not even know that you see the world differently now, but you see from an investment point of view rather than from a working point of view. And so hands down, that's always my answer.
Yeah, me too. That's really the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's one of the first books that business books that I read. And it's what got us into real estate. It's what completely changed our view from where we were going and changed it to where we ended up going.
I thought it was real, but it's not. It's just a story, but that's okay. I'll take it if it's just a story. It helps anyway.
It was the book that changed my life too. So that's my one I recommend to everyone. We're going to jump into a section that's like, would you rather? So would you rather have great partners but bad tenants, or great tenants but bad partners?
Wow. I personally, I would rather have good partners, great partners. And the reason for that is because she takes care of the tenants.
Nice. And I'm 100%. Well, I mean, that's a tough one because you don't want either of those that are bad, but I want good tenants. That makes my life easier. And I want to last in real estate for 10, 20 years. So I need good tenants in order to do that. Partners, I feel like I could find a way around them. like I could get private money, or I could, but bad tenants, I don't think I can find a way around that. I don't know. Good question.
Yeah, you got two different answers there.
Yeah, I think like traditionally it's been about 50-50 almost, but leading into another 50-50 one, like would you guys rather have the headache of 10 different partners on 10 different properties, or just one partner and only 6 properties?
For me, one partner and 6 properties, hands down. I would prefer that.
Yeah, that's a tricky one as well for a lot of people. Now, a little bit of a fun one here. Would you rather have to present on stage naked or plunge a backed up toilet that's overflowed from your tenant?
That's nasty. Those are two terrible things. I hate, like, I gag at any and everything, but I think I'd have to go toilet.
I think I'd go on stage.
Yeah, he would. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah. Got pretty extroverted pretty quick, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, not much of an introvert anymore.
Confident, maybe? I don't know. Oh, crazy. And you guys, Kate, what's your answer on that one?
I'd probably do the stage.
Unreal. Randy?
Yeah, I would do stage. I've plunged too many toilets to know how nasty it is, and I can stand on stage and speak and just get over it the next day. The toilet smell, it sometimes lasts for a long time.
Right?
Yeah,
you think it's with you?
I'm in the same boat, yeah.
I feel like you can have some fun with it, at least. With the toilet, there's no fun whatsoever.
Right.
That's true. That's true.
Cool.
Brave guys.
Got a quick icebreaker game for you. So I have 3 magical cards. And ladies, I'll start with you first. You can either have a top card, a bottom card, or a middle card.
Top.
Top card. If you were going to commit a crime without being caught, what would it be?
Commit a crime without being caught. Oh, sheesh. What are some options of crimes, like, that are not hurtful?
You got to come up with it.
Oh. Commit a crime without getting caught.
That's an easy one for me.
I like speeding. Like, I have a bit of a metal foot, so I'm gonna go real safe and boring and say, yeah, if I could speed everywhere, I'd be happy with that.
Cool. And Corey, top or bottom? Top.
Top. Let's go top.
Top. Tell us a quirky habit of yours.
Quirky habit of mine. Snoring? Is that a habit?
Is it quirky?
It's not a quirky habit. Let's see. What's a quirky habit?
Okay, I have one for you if you can't come up with one.
Okay. Tell me. What is it?
Did I embarrass you?
I don't care.
Okay, so this is how he eats sometimes when he's hungry.
He calls it hovering.
He hovers.
I hover.
He puts his face is like right over his plate. And he's done it in business meetings before where I've been like, hey, hun, there's people watching us. Like, so I feel that's really quirky because I think it's weird. Most people don't do it. And it's definitely a habit.
You guys are hilarious.
It's hilarious. I got called up for that last night, actually. I was scarfing down our lunch yesterday, which was like an egg sandwich. And Rebecca was saying that I was like, la, 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 la.
Yeah, it's insanity to me sometimes. He will literally be done if he's hungry before I've really had 2 or 3 bites. Like, it's craziness. So I think that's
but your bites are like 1/10 the size of mine too. So
Did you think of another quirky?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you're so normal because he's very normal.
This has been an awesome little interview, guys. Can you guys just tell us a little bit more about like the Fearless group you guys have on the go and how people can connect with you through that?
Sure. Yeah. Our Fearless group is obviously on Facebook. We created it so that, people would have a resource to go to, a community to sound questions off of, so that, because we talked about this, there is fear involved in real estate investing to taking that first step, especially for people who are just getting going. And so when you have a community of support around you, when you can ask questions and get good at quality answers from it, at any time of day, that's really what the group was designed for. and the people that we have in there have been super, super supportive. You guys are a big part of it. And, just,
it's about giving.
It's about giving, and everyone, if everyone has a really good attitude towards it. So that would be what I would have to say.
So it's Fearless Investors. If you just search that up on Facebook, yeah, that's where you find us. And we do trainings every week and stuff. So, but yeah, it's all about giving. So we're not into, and as you guys know, you guys have been so respectful of it. You'd be like, hey, is this okay if I can post this and stuff? But we watch what we post, and we watch who we allow in our group, and we're pretty vigilant about kicking people out if they're taking advantage of others or anything like that. So we really like to consider it a safe place, although we can't govern everything. We really do take a really serious interest in making sure that we have only the good guys in.
Yeah, it's clearly one of the best real estate based communities on Facebook in the nation, maybe even on the continent or in the world even. Lots of great value that you guys give out, and just want to thank you guys so much for giving us your time, and everybody else, like, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to continue with this awesome road trip with awesome guests like with Corey and Tiffany. We're going to go all the way up to the Atlantic Ocean. So if you guys want to join in on all the rest of the other awesome interviews with experts across the rest of the nation, easiest way to do that is just hop onto our Facebook community. You search up the REINVESTORS, and all these episodes are going to be published there first, and then subsequently like on YouTube, and you guys will get the links that you guys can share it too. And so we invite you to take place in ours as well. Lots of cool communication that takes place through that as well. And hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day and week. And thank you so much. Is there anything else that you guys want to leave with our viewers?
I just want to say, talk about hustling and working and getting you guys to get Corey to agree to do an interview like this, because he's not really comfortable with stuff like this. Good on you. And that just shows how you do one thing is how you do all things. We really believe that. And it's like, you guys, you value add, you give, and you provide rather than just ask, and you're persistent. And so clearly that's why you've been successful in your real estate investing and for your partners, and just keep up the good work. We love watching you.
Yeah, I'll second that. Just saying that, from our perspective, I remember just meeting you there in Victoria not too long ago. And, coming away from that, I know we met you before, but seeing you again, and, coming away from that, I said to Tiff, these guys are going to go places because we can just tell the drive that you have and the motivation you have.
And the good that you give.
And yeah, you seem like great guys. So congrats for everything you're doing and the support you're giving your own community. It's awesome, and a lot of people will benefit from it.
Thank you for the plug, guys. It's always appreciated.
Yeah, warms my heart. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, cheers.
Talk to you guys later.
Take care.